Welcome to Whiskey's the Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano, and I've got another Friday flight for you. And today is going to be loaded up with my non-age stated peated single malt scotches. Let me go ahead and get on with this with bottle number one. Ardbeg Ugadal coming in at 54.2% ABV. This is ex-bourbon and sherry cask matured. I paid $72.99, and I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, for those of you who don't know. It's a natural expression, no chill filtration, and it's natural color. And that is going to be in glass number one. Moving on to bottle number two. Kilchoman Loch Gorm. This is the 2022 release, 46% ABV, non-chill filtered, natural color. I paid $100 for this, and it's sherry cask matured. That's going to be in glass number two. Moving on to bottle number three. Laphroaig Lore, 48% ABV. This is ex-bourbon, quarter cask, and ex-Oloroso hogshead. Natural color, non-chill filtered, and I paid $159 for this. And I can't remember if that was including shipping costs off of the whiskey exchange. And that's going to be in glass number three. My fourth and final one, Longrow, coming in at 46%. This is the Sol X bourbon cask matured. All of the others have some sort of sherry cask influence. This is also naturally presented, non-chill filter, natural color, and I paid $89.99, and that'll be in glass number four. All right, so what I'm going to do is clear this out of here and start mixing up the glasses. All right, so if you are new to this series, what I've been doing is taking some peated scotches, some non-peated scotches, and bourbons from my collection. I've been lining up some flights with specific categories in mind. Just nose them, taste them, talk about them a little bit, and then I will rank them. Well, actually, I'm not going to talk about them. I'm just going to basically tell you what I'm getting with the nosing and the tasting. I'm going to rank them in the order in which I like them the most. And then the winner of this individual flight is going to move on to the finals and go up against all of the other whiskeys that I've done in the collection. My peated scotches are going to go up against the peated scotches. The non-peated scotches will go up on their own. And then all of the different types of bourbons that I have are going to go up against each other. So I will eventually have three finals going consecutively. And that's coming up in about 3 weeks or 2 weeks. I have this one. I have my top end or higher aged peated scotches, and then I'm going to move on to my finals, starting with the bourbons, then going to the non-peated scotches, and then to finalize it, I'm going to finish off with my peated scotches. I have the black Glencairns in here because I don't want the colors to give anything away. I'm going to leave the lids on because I will be overwhelmed with the peat. I've got my water right here. I've got my notepad in front of me. And I think I'm going to start on my left and move my way to the right. So let's go ahead and get this thing going with glass number one. I get a tremendous amount of malt and vanilla, and that's pretty much it. Well, with the exception of the peat. It's malt, it's vanilla, and it's peaty. And a little bit of a pepper note to it as well. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate. Again, everything that I just got on the nose is coming through on the palate. Comes across as a little bit soft. Comes across as a little bit soft. The malt notes are there. The peat that I'm getting is more of an ashy peat. It's shying away from the Band-Aid and iodine, but there is a little bit of that in there. So I wouldn't say that it's completely ashy. It does have a little bit of a rubber ball iodine note to it, but it's very, very slight. Lots of vanilla and not much else. It's a good one, but it's not absolutely fantastic. But I will definitely drink it. All right, moving on to glass number two. Why, that explodes on the nose. Very sweet, very malty. I have a lot of dark red fruits. That's definitely going to be heavily sherried. The peat note is there, but the red fruits, those dark fruits, are actually overpowering the peat. Subtle peat, but it's leaning a little bit more towards the savory side, the side of the peat notes that I really enjoy. I enjoy all peats, but I think those peated notes where it comes across as smoked meats, savory, I like that more than the Band-Aid and iodine. but this is far sweeter than it is peat, but the peat is there. Let's get it on the palate. Oh, all right. So there's the ashy note. Develops a little bit to the sweetness, elevates. I'm not getting the dominant figs, dates, raisins, and plums like I did on the nose. It was far more dominant smelling it than on the palate. The peat is definitely taking over. The sweetness is there. Much more of a pepper note in here than the first one. A little bit prickly as far as sharp. It's not as well-rounded as the first one. As it's sitting here for a little bit, now I'm picking up a little bit more of a lighter fruit, a grilled pineapple or a grilled peach. It's decent. It's decent. I wouldn't say that I like it any more or any less than the first one. All right, let's move on to glass number 3. Salty, briny, peppery. Back behind all of that, a little bit of sweetness in there. Not nearly as many dark red fruits as the second one. They're pretty subtle, coming across as pretty sweet, just like that grilled pineapple and grilled peaches, kind of like what I got out of that first or that second one, comes across here as well. And the peat note is definitely that savory side. This is the smoked meats. It's almost like if you have ribs on the grill and you slather it in barbecue sauce and the barbecue sauce burns a little bit. And then when you take that bite, you have that smoked meat flavor plus the barbecue sauce, the sweetness of it. Yeah, this smells fantastic. All right, let's get it on the palate. I get hit with some ABV. That smoky note is just like it was on the nose. A tremendous amount of sweetness, lots of vanilla, a little bit of chocolate coming through there as well. Salty, briny, grilled pineapple, pretty sweet, lasting forever. The finish on that is just going and going. It's just elevating in every aspect in the mouth. I like that quite a bit. Definitely a front runner by a healthy amount. I don't see, unless there's something spectacular in here, I don't see how anything is going to beat that. That's fantastic. Let's get a rinse. Right before I took that sip, the peat note turned a little bit ashy, like a burnt log, but it's still very good. And that finish is all sweet, all smoke. All right, let's go ahead and get on to glass number 4. Maybe because I'm coming off of that third one, not getting a whole lot. Good amounts of vanilla. The brine is there. The salty air breeze is in there as well. Like you're sitting on a beach, just smelling the wave coming into the beach, causing some mist. You get it up your nose, get a little salty, briny. They say vanilla. There's some vanilla in here. Slight amounts of red fruit. If I had to venture a guess, this is going to be the long row. Everything else, well, I kind of have an idea of what that is too. Yeah, these 3 are the sherried. That is not sherry influenced at all, or at least nothing that I can pick up compared to these 3. The fruit notes in this are falling in between these 2. Lots of malt in here as well. And it smells really good. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate. Ooh, that's a little tangy, a little bit sharp, pretty good amounts of ABV. Feel a lot of barrel tannin on the side of the tongue. Seems to have quite a bit of depth compared to glass number 2. I think this might actually be a pretty easy flight to put in order. I like the saltiness in there. There's a good brine. There is some pepper. There are slight amounts of red fruits. It's not as dominant as this one. And the funky, briny, salty note is different than this one. All right, so what I'm gonna do is go back the other direction. I'm gonna speed this part up. When I get back, I'm gonna have some notes taken, and then I think I already have my placement here, but you never know. You gotta go back the other direction. You gotta A, B, C, D compare these things because your palates might change based on what you just had previous. So I'm gonna do some rinsing, take some notes, and I'll be right back. Ooh, jumping in here. I got a little bit of a sulfur note in that one. All right, I think this one is a pretty simple one to sort out. So going back this direction, I don't think anything really changed except the intensity of the sweetness. So glass number 1, the first one that I had, seemed to be the most basic. keep in mind, they are all really good. I like each one of these. But trying to pick a winner, this did not seem to be as peated, as complex, or flavorful as the other three. So I'm going to put this one in fourth place. I said that it was pretty much ashy peat with vanilla and malt. That was about it. I think it was lost with the strength of the peat and the sherry that was in all of these. Still good, but it's in fourth place. I had a tough time between the two of these. In the end, I put this glass in third place. Overall, on the nose and on the palate, it was the sweetest. I said that it was ashy peat. It was a little bit sharp. I liked the ABV, but it didn't come across as well-rounded. Each individual components that I got with the fruit and the pepper and the grilled pineapple and what else did I say here? The other fruits just did not combine very well. So I was getting pineapple, I was getting peat, I was getting sweet, I was getting malt, I was getting a little vanilla, I was getting a little pepper. So it didn't come together. It wasn't as cohesive as the other two. So that ended up being third place. Second place was this. I think this one came across as briny, salt, pepper forward, a little bit more pepper than I wanted, but it was still very good. The malt notes and the pepper, the sherry notes that I was getting, I'm all tongue twisted. They all came together rather well. And the dominant note that I got out of this on the finish was a little bit of a pepper smoke. I wouldn't say a peated note. I think that peat kind of fell off to the side and I ended up getting a little bit of a smoky note rather than a peated smoke. And if I didn't say it already, the peat note that I got out of here turned a little bit ashy as well. Still very good, but not enough to take over first place, which was glass number 3. And I'd have to say, this meets all of my requirements of a peated Scotch. Salty, a little bit briny. The peat note is definitely towards the meat, savory, smoked side of things. I get a grilled pineapple. There is a slight amount of spice that's very well balanced with the sweetness. The ABV is spot on. Everything comes together as one cohesive unit. It's a very long finish, and I'm also picking up a little bit of chocolate in here as well. Chocolate or maybe a little bit of tobacco note. So it's fantastic. It's sweet, it's smoky, it's peaty, it's chocolate, and a good amount of sherry. And overall, I just thought the experience that I got from this was much better than any of them. So this was a clear-cut winner for me today in this flight. All right, so let's go ahead and get on to what it is that I was drinking. Obviously, you know already because I put it up right there. So I think this one was in fourth place, and it was the Long Row. All right, that makes sense because there's no sherry notes in here whatsoever. So Long Row ended up being in fourth. Third place, I end up with the Kilchoman, so the Loch Gorm 2022 release. A little bit sharp, and I think I remember this tasting a little bit sharp when I had it a couple times. But I'm really looking forward to what Kilchoman is going to be doing because I like what's in this glass. The fourth glass in second place was the Laphroaig Lore. All right, I don't remember the Laphroaig Lore being that salty and briny. Doesn't make a difference because it's still really good, which means, and there's no surprise here, the Uigeadail. This one stood out so much more than all of the others. And yes, it was the Uigeadail. If you haven't had the Uigeadail and if you have not seen my recent review of that, please go back and take a look at it. It's a crowd favorite. It's a favorite of mine. And I know that this is going to go up against the Ardbeg 10 that I did in my original peated Scotch video. So it's going to be interesting to see how the 10 compares to this. So there you go. Uigeadail is moving on to the finals. I'm going to do one quick blend with this, see how they mix together, and then we'll call this video good. All right, so we have the Lore, the Ugadal, the Lochgorm 2022 Kilhoman. That was very light. And then the Long Row Peated. Give this thing a little roll in the glass. If you made it this far and you enjoy this type of content, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. Turn that bell notification on because I produce videos and release them every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you've had any of these in a flight, where did they rank with you? If you have any suggestions for a non-peated, let me say that again. If you have any suggestions for a non-age stated peated Scotch, let me know in the comments down below. I may already have it in my collection. I just felt that these 4 were the favorites of mine. But I'm always open for suggestions. See what you guys like. Let me know in the comments down below. All right, let's get this thing on the nose. It smells really good. Comes across as pretty sweet. Not a whole lot of peat. The peat that would be in here is more of the ashy note, but it's far behind all of the sweetness. Good amounts of vanilla. That chocolate note is coming through. A little bit of tobacco. Very malty. The salt and the brine are there as well. Not picking up on any dominant sherry notes, but that might change when I get it on the palate. So cheers, everyone. Ashy peat. Good amounts of ABV. Pineapple. Very drying on the tongue. That tannin on the side is pretty overwhelming, but a pretty good sugary note as well. Almost like an aftertaste, like you have a too sweet of a sweet tea and that sugar residue sticks around on the tongue. Yeah, I'm not positive that's very good at all. So that's where I'm going to leave it. Wherever you're at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying it. Until the next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye.